are our greatest weapon of all.
First step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one.
It's time we started talking. Pain isn't something we thought.
All we can ever do for our heroes is remember them, and they gave up two lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. They gave up everything for our country, for us. They pray for freedom and justice.
Some veterans not getting the timely care that they need. Less than 1% of Americans serving in uniform. Good news is that in recent years we've made historic investments to boost the VA budget.
What is it? Why should we care?
We should care about press freedom
because we were informed.
In democratic societies, free, diverse, and pluralist media enable public debates and are essential checks
You don't
on
look
power.
satisfied. Let's discuss.
Hey guys, welcome to the VASRD podcast. New episode, VASRD Principles. If it's your first time listening, then thanks for coming. As a short reminder, VASRD is a non-profit educational project dedicated to assist veterans with adjustment to civilian lifestyle and to provide assistance in obtaining your VA and any other available benefits that you have earned. Today, we are talking about VASRD principles, and they are governed, those principles governed by principles that dictate how the rating authorities should assign military disability ratings in various circumstances. These principles are meant to make up for any shortcomings or holes in the rating schedule and to create equality and fairness when applying the ratings. Some principles are specific to single conditions and some can be applied to all. So the principles were originally meant to govern only VA disability cases. And so when it's officially started to be used for DoD disability, DoD made a couple adjustments. So right now it applies not only to DoD, to VA as well. Unless there is a clear statement in the VA rules that it doesn't apply. So, general principles.
Yeah. So the the essentials of rating 4.1 and 4.10. The intent of the VASRD is to properly rate every service-connected condition that a service member has. The rating should properly reflect the difficulty the veteran would have to work or find work because of the veteran's conditions. The basic idea is that the veteran who will have more trouble finding and keeping a job than another should receive more compensation for his condition. Every service-connected condition a veteran has can be rated for VA disability. Some of these conditions may not be severe enough to be rated more than 0%, but all conditions the VA rate are eligible to be reevaluated and re-rated if they worsen in the future. DoD disability is only given for service-connected conditions that also make a service member unfit for duty. The DoD also only rates conditions at the time of the separation. Thus, if a condition worsens in the future, the DoD rating doesn't change. A change in diagnosis, the 4.13, this principle applies only to the VA, since the VA can change a VA disability rating. If the condition worsens or improves, it can also change the diagnosis of the condition. The VASRD principle, however, states that the changing of diagnosis of a condition should only be done if the current diagnosis does not sufficiently rate the severity of the condition. Since the DoD does not change its ratings, the diagnosis of the condition will not change from the diagnosis that was in effect at separation. So, is age considered when rating? 4.19, no. The age of the veteran is never taken into account when rating for a disability, or it shouldn't. But if you look at a lot of guys applying for the unemployable right now, you got to question that. If a veteran cannot get a job because of his age, that is not a matter for the disability rating authorities and will not be considered. Exceptional and rare cases, DoD only. If a condition cannot be found in the VASRD and is so unique and rare that it that an anomalous rating does not fully reflect the disability of the condition, then the Secretary of the Military Department concerned, like the Army, the Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, all you guys, has the right to assign an appropriate rating for the condition. This is DoD only, and so rare that none of us have actually really seen it happen. At least no one that we know of for sure. Anomalous ratings are almost always sufficient. The rating authorities and their decision-making, medical evidence, and correspondence. 4.24. Any exam, test, official statement, correspondence, or even email that provides significant evidence about the service member's condition should be submitted to the rating authorities. All information that is submitted will be sift through, and only those documents that have the highest probable value will be examined by each rating authority member before making their rating decision. So it is your job to ensure that the rating authorities have all important information they need to best review your case, so make sure they get anything that you think is important. The interpretation of exam reports, 4.2. It is the rating authority's responsibility to interpret all medical reports that are submitted to them. A physician may describe a condition and its symptoms differently than another, but the rating authorities must combine and analyze all the data to determine a consistent picture of the condition in order to achieve an appropriate rating. If there is not enough data to properly rate a condition, then the rating authorities must request additional information. If no additional data can be found, then the rating authorities must rate the condition based on the principles of probative value and reasonable doubt in the benefit of the veteran. Probative value, 4.6. The rating authorities will use the most accurate data and the opinion of the most qualified medical provider and as the best representative of the overall condition. So don't let them get away with saying QTC or MSLA is the authoritative when you've been going to your doctor for more years than you've gone to the QTC exam. Basically, if an exam is done by a specialist using the most up-to-date and accurate tools available to them, that exam will hold a higher probative value than the one done by a primary care doctor with a wooden ruler. So if there is any conflicting information in the exams, the rating authorities will base their rating on one of the most probative value. In the DoD's case, since they base their rating on the severity of the condition at the time of separation, the exams closest to that date are often the ones with the most probative value. A tie goes to the veteran, 4.7 and 4.12. If there are two exams with conflicting information, then the rating authorities must base the rating on the one that will give the veteran the higher rating. This won't happen, however, if one of the exams has less probative value than another. So if one exam notes measurements that would equal 20% rating and another with the same probative value note measurements that would equal 30% rating, the veteran would and should receive 30% rating. Similarly, if a single condition could be rated under two different VASRD codes, the rating authority must assign the code that will give the highest rating for that condition. Reasonable doubt, 4.3. If a condition is not well documented in medical records, the rating authorities may have trouble deciding how severe the condition truly is and what rating the condition should receive. In these cases, the rating authorities are required to award the higher rating for the veteran's benefit. Rating authority members' attitudes, 4.23. The rating authority members are required to not allow any personal feelings or attitudes to influence the rating decision. But remember, you're dealing with human beings, so God knows what could happen on any given day for any one of us. When the members review medical records, there is quite a lot of personal information in those files. We really got to know a lot more about the service member than we may want. Depending on the circumstances surrounding the conditions, the doctors who wrote the records may have very definite opinions about the service member's motives, honesty, personality, etc. Based on the things they read, rating authority members may feel that the service member under review is a true victim who deserves a high rating since he's a good person. It's 4.27. Every condition in the VASRD has a 4-digit VASRD code that identifies it. The rating authorities decide which code best reflects each condition. Often a single condition can easily be rated under different codes. For example, lower back strain can be related based on limited motion 5237 or under degenerative arthritis, which is 5003.
So as a note, the rating authorities are required to pick the code that best defines the condition and all the symptoms. But I would say, like, as long as you educate yourself, you pick up the best code that defines your condition, and then you argue that this code applies to you.
Yeah, you don't want to go in there blind.
Yeah, it's a bit like those vague multiple choice question and tests that ask you to pick up the best answer, and not necessarily the right one.
Ratings 4.20, if a condition is not listed in the VASRD, then it must be rated analogously. Analogous code will be the 4-digit code connected to by a hyphen. For example, 5099-5003. The 99 at the end of the first code tells us that the analogous rating under the second is an analogous rating under the second code. So if the condition is a carpal bone injury, a condition that is not listed specifically under the VASRD, then it would be best rated as a degenerative arthritis, the 5003. Thus, the code for this condition would be written as 5099-5003. Now, if the first code in the two code numbers does not end in 99, for example, 5003-5240, it means that this condition was correctly described under 5003, but the best rating for it based on the symptoms of the condition, which are rated under the second code, 5240, is the one that's going to apply. So the condition is correctly diagnosed as degenerative arthritis 5003, but the condition is so severe that the soldier can't move his back at all, then the much higher rating can actually be achieved under 5240, the ankylosis of the spine.
So, like, really, some conditions, it's, of course, because of the human body is so complex, they cannot be all described. So every year, VA or DoD changes rating based on the research, based off medical evidence that they get from soldiers, and based on the research scientific community does in university, all the other stuff. So it always changes. So it's up to you to pick up the right code that applies to you the best way. So of course, if you got to pick up in between like 10 and 40%, so guess which one is better for you. So also, we would like to talk a little bit about veterans' behavior that can affect their ratings.
So treatment outside the military medical system. If you choose to have any medical procedures or treatment done outside of the military or the VA medical system, this doesn't include any referrals to civilian physicians as long as it's done through the military or VA. Then that condition and any and all side effects of that treatment are not rateable. You cannot be rated for a condition or symptom that results from treatment outside of the military or VA system unless you were referred for the care by a military or VA physician. The only exception to this would be if your choice of using civilian services can be proven to be a result of impaired judgment, that is a result of the rateable condition. So if you're suffering from dementia and went to a doctor for a foot problem outside of the military because you couldn't remember who your doctor was or where to go, then you could still be rated for the foot condition and its side effects, especially since dementia that severe is definitely unfitting and rateable.
But in most cases, if you have a family doctor and you've been going to the same doctor for a long, long time, and of course there is a financial component to that as well. So, but let's say you've been going to the same doctor for a long time and then you decided to join the military and then either retired or maybe you got out after a couple of terms or just one term, and you decided to go to the same doctor and you're still paying him for the visits. So definitely this doctor may know your condition much better than any VA doctor or any doctor that is assigned by VA. So, you know, as long as you can afford going to the same doctor, he would be more, he would describe your condition much better than anybody else that looks at you first time. Failure to comply with prescribed treatment.
So a condition could also not be eligible for rating, or at least a high rating, if the soldier unreasonably refuses proper treatments and therapy. If a physician properly counsels the soldier about his condition and the various treatment options, but the soldier refuses to follow any guidance or treatments such as diet, activities, not using alcohol or drugs, then the rating would be reduced. So if a soldier has asthma and is told to stop smoking but continues and the asthma gets worse, then the rating for asthma would be reduced by how much the physician and the rating authorities feel that the smoking made the asthma worse. So instead of receiving a 30, he may only get a 10.
So this condition doesn't go into play a lot, but think about that whatever doctors tell you to do, you might have to comply, because if year after year nothing changes, nothing changes not because nothing changes because it cannot change, but because you do not comply, that your rating might go down. But if you comply with all of the doctor's requirement and it doesn't change, then that's the way it is.
So for misconduct, if a condition is the result of intentional misconduct, then no rating will be awarded. This includes the use of illegal drugs or controlled substances. So if the soldier intentionally injures himself or an attempt to separate from the service or get more money at separation or with any other motive, then that condition will not be rated. So you get drunk and get in a car wreck, that's on you. You get an STD, that's on you.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it can happen, and I honestly wouldn't blame anybody for getting into troubles because of that, because anything can happen in life, but just you got to know that this is one of the conditions that might apply to the ratings. So the way the ratings are calculated.
Pyramiding, 4.14, a single condition symptom can only be rated once. As we talked about under coding options, a single condition could fit a couple or different codes, but rating a single condition more than once under a different code is not allowed. Now there are some particular cases where, say, like a low back condition that is very limited in motion and also affects the nerve, creating severe nerve pain down the leg, could be rated as two separate conditions. The first would be the limited motion of the back itself, and the second would be the nerve pain down the leg. So for DoD only, each part in and of itself must make the soldier unfit for duty for them to both be rated. Rating two aspects of the same condition really doesn't happen that often. Most of the time, single rating satisfactorily covers all aspects of that condition. Overall, the main rule is only one rating per condition. 0% in minimum ratings, 4.31. 0% ratings are given when a condition is not severe enough to achieve the lowest rating listed for the condition. Some conditions have 0 listed as an option, but even if it's not listed, it can be given an exception when a minimum rating is required. A minimum rating is sometimes required for certain conditions. This means that as long as there is a diagnosis for that condition, it must be given at least the lowest compensational money rating, basically, for that condition, so that's going to be around 10%. We have listed any minimum requirements on the individual conditions page. Total disability rating, 4.15 and 4.16. 100% rating are given when the veteran's disability is so severe that he cannot work to support himself. Since one person may be able to find employment with an amputated leg and another may not, the ratings are based on the average person's ability to work with that condition. Permanent and total disability ratings can only be given if that condition is stable and expected to last throughout the veteran's life. A 100% rating can be given for any condition, even if that rating is not noted under the condition in the VASRD. If it is severe enough that the veteran is unable to work or take care of himself, then there is only one condition that makes the veteran unable to work. Then that condition must be rated at least 60 alone in order for that condition to be eligible to rate the 100% because of unemployability. Similarly, if there are two or more conditions that make the veteran unable to work, at least one must be rated at 40 or more by itself, and the total combined rating of those conditions must be 70% or more. Only when looking at the total disability ratings can multiple conditions be combined to make a single condition that would qualify for the single 60 or 40% rating. Being able to combine them helps make the minimum requirements listed above more achievable. And in these cases, conditions can be combined to equal a single condition only when they include both upper and both lower extremities, including the bilateral factor. All resulted from a single incident, all affect a single body system, nerves, digestive, orthopedic, things like that. All were incurred in action, or all were incurred while a prisoner of war. Unemployability 4.17 and 4.18. A veteran is considered unemployable if they have been unable to find sufficient stable work. Evidence must be provided to show that the veteran's lack of work is directly related to his disability. Occasional odd jobs, intermediate work, unsuccessful employment lasting only a short time, employment terminating because of the disability, and any work that pays less than half the usual amount established by the U.S. Department of Commerce is evidence that support a veteran's unemployability and cannot be used to rule against this principle. Pre-stabilization ratings, the 4.28. If a condition is not completely healed or not stable, meaning that it is still changing for better or worse, then a pre-stabilization rating should be awarded for the 12-month period directly following discharge from the military. A 50% rating should be given for a condition where employment is very likely for the veteran once the condition heals. A higher 100% rating should be given for conditions that are not expected to improve enough for the veteran to get stable work. For VA disability, an examination must be performed before the end of the 12-month period. If the final permanent rating for that condition ends up being less than the amount awarded for that pre-stabilization period, then the higher rating will continue to the end of the 12 months before the lower rating begins. If, however, the permanent rating is higher than the pre-stabilization rating, then the higher rating will begin immediately. For DoD disability, this pre-stabilization period is the same as the TDRL period and is subject to all TDRL terms. If a surgical procedure or treatment is performed just before the service member is separated, then those procedures do not contribute to a TDRL period or permanent rating unless they have adverse side effects that are expected to continue after separation. Hospital or observation treatment ratings, the 4.29. If a veteran is hospitalized or under hospital observation for a service-connected condition for more than 21 consecutive days, then a total rating of 100% is awarded from the first day of hospitalization until the end of the month in which the veteran is discharged. Convalescent ratings, 4.30. This is the VA only. If the veteran must recover from a medical procedure or hospitalization for a service-connected condition at home, then a total rating of 100% is awarded for up to 3 months starting the first day of the month after he is discharged or begins treatment at home. To count as convalescence, the condition must be severe enough to keep the veteran from being able to work for the period of the time he undergoes treatment. A back surgery that requires the veteran to lie flat for a month is an appropriate example of a convalescent condition. Convalescent periods can last longer than 3 months with the approval from the Veteran Service Center manager.
Yeah, and DoD does not give convalescent ratings, only VA. And the last one, principle of the systems. There are some other principles that are only for certain conditions or groups of conditions, and all of these principles are discussed in respected podcasts or respected topics because there are so many of them, and some of them are probably vague or difficult to understand.
Yeah.
That's it, guys, for today. So, do you have any informational resources, good book, movie to recommend?
Yeah, like if you guys want to read a cool comic book, Cowboy Ninja Viking from AJ Lieberman and Riley Rossmo, like that's a pretty funny little story. If you guys want to check it out, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna make a movie out of it soon.
All together, right? Cowboy Vikings.
Yeah, Cowboy Ninja Viking, all in one person.
So, and as always, words of wisdom of the day.
God damn it, you'll never get that purple heart hiding in a foxhole. Follow me.
That's right, said by Henry P. Crow. That's it, folks. Thanks for listening. Until next time, over and out.
Thank you.
Thank you.